All right. Well, that brings us through to our main session for today and introducing our guest speaker. Well, as the speaker is no guest to you, it is me. What sort of introduction can I give you? I mean, just doesn't sound right when you introduce yourself, does it? So, give you a bit of background. I was born on Norfolk Island. No, it's not going to be one of these tales that takes forever. I did live in New Zealand I went to school over there, high school, but ended up with a business in New Zealand. I had a mortgage broking business in New Zealand for 10 years. Set that up from scratch, having not come from the banking industry. In fact, knowing nothing about mortgage broking at all. So it was just one of those challenges. I didn't even know the banks paid commission when I went in there. So we spent the first 3 years not being paid commission by the banks and charging clients. I mean, we're adding value to the whole thing, but the banks never told us they paid commission until I asked them. So you learn these things in business, but one of the biggest tools for me in that business was email marketing. So that was as far back as 98, 99, 2000s. That was really one of the marketing tools of choice that I had then. And that's part of the reason why this topic is coming up tonight, apart from the fact that I've had lots of people say, how do you write your emails? What's your process for that? So I thought, well, I will give you the inside secrets on how I do it. You'll probably be unsurprised and unimpressed because it's reasonably simple, but there is a skill and a talent in behind it. And it is about 30 years worth of writing emails that have gone into this as well too. So, but of late, came over to sold that mortgage broking business, came to Australia, I had a publishing company for a year, a business publishing company, and then set up the digital sort of agency in about 2009. So really been doing that for, since that sort of time. And of late, it's more been around the education, CRM, systems and processes, and of course, this program as well too. So email marketing. I would like to just get out on the, I suppose, into the ether, into the air now. What is your opinion, I suppose, of email marketing? So what are the things that you are, say, most concerned about, or what do you hear about it in terms of it not working? What do people say about email marketing? So let's throw some of that out. So just unmute yourself and just throw it out or sort of drop it into chat.
Bounce rates.
Bounce rates, yes. Emails have got can have high bounce rates. Yep. What else?
I hate spam. And I don't want people to hate me for sending spam.
Okay, so people hate spam, and people think you're a spammer if you send emails.
Yeah, too much. Yeah. Like I unfriended someone, not unfriended. I unsubscribed from someone that you and I probably both know one day this week after I got the third email in that day from.
Perfect. All right. So that's like how many emails are too much, really?
That's way too much.
Yeah. Perfect. Yep. What else?
Another one is people make a comparison between the open rates of email and messenger things on social media.
Okay. Yep. So that's a correlation between email and like direct message type of things.
Yeah. The open rate side.
Open rate of it. Yep. Perfect. All right. Good as gold. What else? Who here uses email marketing? Just give us a show of hands if you use it. Yeah. Anyone not use it at all or not really? Yeah, so but there. Okay, sweet. Okay.
I did used to many years ago.
So used to many years ago. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. Why did you stop?
I ran out of ideas.
Okay, that's great. Yep.
And now I've changed my business focus. I sort of got to question how appropriate it is. So I need to be careful of.
Okay. Yep.
Not to be tacky.
Okay, not tacky. Perfect. Okay.
Dear consumer, has anyone died in your household this week? I'm here to help.
Yes.
Nick, can we make a delineation?
Maybe we can help it to happen,
Sorry, Con, what was that, Con?
Can we make a delineation here, or maybe we can cover this if we can?
Yep.
There's email marketing and there's direct messaging, which is like an email marketing. Let's say I do a lot of LinkedIn direct messaging.
Yeah.
which uses the same principles and processes, I suppose, or methodologies like that. But one is sending to an email, one's sending to a LinkedIn profile.
Okay, perfect.
Is there, I'm sure, I'm hoping, you're the expert, that there is some similarities in our approach, whether you're emailing or whether you're messaging. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can cover that.
Okay, that's good. And there's and I will touch on that because you can use the two together as well. So I'll talk about how you use those things together. Sam.
I had to unmute myself. Yes.
Yes, that'll work too. So what's your question about email?
Mine is probably more the opening lines. Like I might send off, say, for example, 400 emails. And my question is, I've only got about, 20% opening those emails, even opening. So I see my clicks and I see my opens and I see all the reports and everything, but I want everybody to open up their email. So that's my biggest question. How can I get everybody to open up and click? It's just because they're opening up their email, it doesn't mean they're clicking on it.
Yeah, impossible.
Right. Yeah.
I know it's impossible, but there might be a little trick in there somewhere.
Isn't the really good rate around 30%?
That's an exceptionally good rate, Paul.
Yeah.
30%. That's a really good. That's a good question too from you, Sam, because I think a lot of people have got that sort of question. How do you increase it? If we talk about industry averages, and I did speak about this a little earlier on today on the live video that I did on Facebook, is that traditionally. Internet marketers and people with lists think that a 1% open rate is good. So based on that metric, if you're getting a 30% open rate, that's an exceptional open rate. So, but when we talk about 1% open rate, generally those people there have got some large lists. They've got some fairly unengaged people on your list, on their lists. They've collected it over a number of years. And they've collected it from all sorts of means. So they've just got quite a large, very general list. And so getting a 1% open rate is about what they'd expect. So it's not really about how many people are on the list that's important, but it's about what sort of quality of person you've got on the list. And the quality is not about the quality of the person, but it's about what's the relevance of what you do and what you deliver and what you offer to what they would buy. So the quality is measured by the match. So what's the match of people in your list there that are likely to be interested in the sorts of things that you're offering. So having a large list is not the goal. Having a quality list is the goal. And if you've got a quality list, then you can expect to get open rates of that sort of 30%, 40% and above. I just had a look at my CRM today, just to have a look at some of the open rates in my campaigns. And I think the highest that I had was 44% open rate. That was just on the screen of recent emails, but it generally hovers around between that 25 to 40%. So that's my sort of open rate. That's nothing to compare against yours because it depends what your list is like. And all you need to do is find a bit of a baseline there, and then you can measure your emails from whether they're getting a sort of a lower open rate through to a higher open rate. But I wouldn't be too focused on that too much. Really, what's going to be important is the content of your emails, what you're writing, what you're sending out, what sort of messaging that you're putting out there.
Nick, can I mention one other thing?
Yes.
When people are opening up their emails, are they looking at the sender or the subject line?
That's a really good question. Yep, that's a really good question. In fact, let's take a poll here because that is a good question, and we'll come and cover that. Who looks? So if you look at the sender to qualify whether you to open the email, if it's the sender, just type an S. If it's let's do this another way around. If it's a sender, type a 1. If it's a subject line, type a 2 in chat. Which is more important, sender or subject line? So 1 for sender, 2 for subject line. So just drop it into chat. All right. So we've got a few 2s. Most of them are 1s. So quick poll here is that most people look at the actually sender's name. So that's the first thing for credibility. So if that's the case, then what would that tell you about the emails that go out? How many people send out emails with the sender as the sender being their company name? Anyone do that? Yep. So some of you will, and I know I've done that as well too. So then you sort of think about, are people going to open a company email, or are they going to open it from you? You know, is it you know, would it be better to have your name? So I don't know the answer to that. You might want to test it. So if you're sending out emails, you do a test there, sending it out just as your name or as the company name in that senders, and see what your open rates turn out like. So in most CRM softwares, you can do split tests like that. It's really easy to do it, and you'll be able to then track the results of those opens as well too. The other thing to track as well is in the from field, do you put your first and second name, or do you just put your first name? So that's another good metric to track as well, because if it's a first name, sometimes people respond to either just the first name, and that seems a bit more personal. You know, it's like no one sends an email with first and last name if they don't know you. The other variations too is all in lowercase. So I've seen some that are all in lowercase, and so that one there feels more personal because it feels like someone who doesn't understand technology very much. So it must be a personal email, if that makes sense. So you can test those sort of things there to see which ones give you a higher open rate. But one thing to say about that too is if you are consistent with your emails in terms of that from name, then you can find that that can work for you or can work against you. So, you know, if you consistently only use your first name, for instance, and no last name or not company name, that may work. So that might work for a while, but people might cotton on and realize, oh, that's this particular person. So then they're either not going to open it because they know what the content is, or they are going to open it. So you could sort of change it up a bit as well too. Tracy, I don't know if I don't know the person and their name comes up, I'm most likely to delete it or check if I need to keep it or open it, given the amount of spam that comes through. Yep. So people are always checking against spam there. So if I don't know the person and their name comes up, I'm most likely to delete it or check it. Yep. So that could be the case as well. So it really is a question of something that people recognize or something that evokes their curiosity. So those are things to test. Kevin sort of said the subject line, I think, is the answer. Look, I don't know what the answer is. And that's the thing about emails is it does change, it does vary, and the way people respond so varies as well. But both of those things are quite important.
I find if it's a name that I don't recognize as someone I know, I'll look at the email address before, and if I see Joe Blogs 123976 at Hotmail, and their subject line says, get more business engagement, because that you wouldn't have a clue about that using some crappy email address like that, and I don't read any further. Yep,
pretty much. And if you're like me on emails, I use Gmail, well, so like Google Workspace. And on Google Workspace email, you can click the tick box at the top. It will highlight all of the emails on that page. I then go through all of those emails and just untick all the ones that I want to read. All the rest get deleted. But even that's not a bad thing. You can still get traction if people delete your emails without even reading them. So I'll talk about how to get that sort of traction. Sometimes the opening them doesn't matter. So just sending them matters. All right, what have we got? My emails come from info social selling warrior address. I find these emails go mostly straight to junk. Okay, we'll deal with that, Con. That's a good question. Sometimes it depends on what you're sending, but you can find they go to junk. I'll talk about how to stop them going to junk as well, or how to minimize that there. I had to check all emails in Gmail. Okay, so Diego, in Gmail, if you go into Gmail and you go into your screen there, just your normal inbox screen, at the top of your inbox screen, just above all the emails, is a checkbox you check that, it will check all of the emails that are on that particular page. And then you can just uncheck the ones that you don't want to see, that you do want to read, and then you can go and delete them all. So that's at the top of Gmail. All right. Okay.
One I mentioned was how often should we email, and Jeff said if the subject is interesting, then probably more often than not. But is there any standard procedure or number in terms of the number of emails?
There is no number.
Being an email marketer for 20 years.
Yeah, there is no number, but I'll cover that off, Peter. So we'll come to that there because that's a really important thing. I've got someone that sends me an email every single day, and I'll read all of them. I've got people there that send me emails infrequently. I never read them. And I've got other people that send me emails, like Paul said, 3 in a day, and I keep them all and read them all. And some of them I delete, but I don't unsubscribe. So we'll talk about the reasons behind why that happens as well too, and how you can use that same thing. All right, so what we will cover today is we talk about 10 things. Hopefully we won't have to rattle them off really quickly. One of them is why email. Going to compare some of the channels. So, email versus social media, etc. Talk about some of the myths about emails, and we spoke about some of those at the beginning. That's why I asked you to just to list them or talk about them. Talk about some of the problems that's around email deliverability and how to get over them, some strategies, all the parts of the email. So there are various different parts that all play a different piece to it. Talk about how to work those and how to construct that, how to write it, how to get the clicks, how to increase your open rates, and some of the different types of emails that you can use. And I have to say, email is one of my primary strategies. You probably see me on social media, what I do on social media a lot. Where we get most of our conversions and most of our inquiries is from email. So email will turn into money for us, whereas social media stuff doesn't necessarily translate as powerfully. So first thing about why email, I often hear people say email's dead, no one reads emails. My kids, if I send my kids emails, I know they're not going to read it because they don't have emails on their phones. They use things like Snapchat and direct messaging. So you probably do need to check the generation of people that you're sending messages to. But when you think about business, pretty much everybody in business has an email. So most companies have email addresses, and they give email addresses to their staff. Or maybe not their lower level staff, but certainly their sort of mid to higher level staff. So why email? Email's cheap, so it's free. So unlike ads and other types of media, once you've got your email account, all you're paying for is your email account or your CRM. You're not paying for your emails to go out. So if you've got a list of whether it's a list of 1,000 people or 500 people or a list of 20,000 people, the cost to send your email is the same. So there's no, it's not increasing, the more people you've got. Pretty much everyone has it. If you check people's mobile phones, most people have email on their phones, even if it's just a Gmail account. Most people have on their desktop, particularly people that are working in that business to business market. If you're business to consumer, you can probably guarantee that most people have emails as well too. One of the other reasons too is that email is a great way to keep top of mind. I'll come and talk about that. People don't need to open their email. And in fact, how I just talked about how I delete all of those emails that I don't want to read. The fact is, I have to read the from name and subject line to determine whether I'm going to read it or not. So even though I haven't opened it, I've still read it, and they're still top of mind. So there are companies out there that send me emails that I won't open. So for instance, this one's top of mind, thinking about going on a cruise next year. We're just looking at some options there for cruises. And I've had cruise emails, from those deal places or those travel agents. They come through to me pretty much every week. I delete them every week. But now that we're sort of talking about, booking sort of cruise or two for next year, it's like now all of a sudden these emails become top of mind. So instead of going to Google to look for these cruise providers, they're already coming into my inbox. So now I'm in a position where I want to read these emails. So now I will sort of click on them or untick them so I can read them and check out the deals. So emails can be used as a way of keeping top of mind for people, particularly when they're ready to buy. So they're not ready to buy at all instances in life, but when they are, you want to make sure you're top of mind. Email is a good way to keep top of mind. And probably a good example of that is if you're in the, let's say, service space, let's say real estate. Not everyone buys a house every week, but they will buy and sell at least every 5 years, I think is the stat. I might have that wrong, but around about then. So if you keep on landing in someone's email box, they're not ready to buy and sell. They might just delete your emails, but the time when they're ready to buy and sell, then they're going to start to open them. Does that make sense? So you just use it at that top level marketing. The other reason why email is, when you look at the email clients, more and more people these days have got either Gmail or Outlook. So those providers there are very few people that have emails outside of that. There are what we call cPanel emails. So people with websites that use cPanel. There are still a chunk of people that are using emails through that sort of system. They are becoming fewer now because of the security risk. When you talk about malware and hacking, generally, cPanel is a vector for that there. So a lot of the, particularly businesses, are tending to migrate to things like Outlook or Gmail or Google and Microsoft, which is Gmail and Outlook. And then, of course, most websites have the facility to email as well too. So even though it's not going through an email client, they still end up in an email box. And one thing I would say is that a CRM is an absolute must. So CRM, customer relationship management system, if you don't have one, then and they're reasonably cheap to have. They're really, call it, $50 to between $50 to $200 a month to have it. If you've got a small list, you'll be paying under $50. If you've got a larger list, then you might be paying around that $200 mark for most of us. So absolute must. The reason why it's a must is it's the one channel that you can guarantee to get a message out to someone that will reach everybody. So if you put it out on social media, only 3% of your people are going to get it, based on, let's say, Facebook's algorithm these days, they're only going to deliver it to about 3% of the people. With email, you can get it to 100% of your people. Whether they read it or not, it's another story. So we'll talk about how to get them to read it. But in terms of delivering it, you are in control of that. If you're using other channels like social media, then you're at the mercy of them. If you're using something like direct messenger or some DM messages, again, you can't email them or you can't message them all. So if you do that on Facebook, that's a quick way to get yourself blocked. I think it's probably the same on LinkedIn as well too, and they limit the number of messages that can go out. So that's no good if, for instance, you've got an important announcement and say a critical announcement, then you want everybody to get the email. Or if you're running let's say, what have we got coming up? We've got Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So, if you're participating in those sort of programs, or Valentine's Day or New Year's Day, whatever, and you've got promotions to go through there, you want to get out to your entire list, not to just a very small segment of the list, or for it to be governed, so to speak, by the social media providers. So CRM gives you a lot more control around all that. And I'll talk about how to use that with your direct messaging as well too. If we compare the systems, so email versus social media, as I say, with email, 100% delivery, social media, then you're talking about 3% delivery. With ads, email versus ads, so you can pay for, on your social media or Google ads, but of course they're going to cost you money. So every click on your ad is going to cost you money. So that's what really limits you in delivery. So you might have a budget there of say $100 a day or $50 a day. As soon as that budget is exhausted, and that might be 5 or 10 clicks. So that means you might have reached, let's say, 1,000 people, because the impressions might have been 1,000, but you might have only got about clicks. So really your budget there dictates how many people get to see your content or see your message there. So with email, again, it's free. You can send 10, you can send 1,000, you can send 10,000. Still the same cost, but you can get it out in bulk. Networking and events, that's another way to communicate with people, obviously limited by the people that are in the room. Trade shows were ones that I used a lot. So trade shows were before email, really using a lot of email. Trade shows were my preferred source. In fact, I would use trade shows with emails and messaging, and that was really quite effective. But again, there's a cost to the trade shows, and trade shows are really about lead generation. And for me, going to trade shows was not about selling anything at the shows. It was about collecting email addresses and getting the opt-ins at the trade shows, so that we could then start that communication with them. So typically going to a trade show, I would give away something like a free trip, like a free holiday somewhere, or something that people want. Doesn't necessarily need to be related to your product and service. I did do one here on the Gold Coast and in Brisbane, and we gave away about $30,000 worth of digital marketing services. So they weren't all mine, they were other people's services as well. But the whole thing was just to collect the leads, have something that was compelling enough to get people to drop their business cards in the box or fill out the lead forms for us then to come and put that into our CRM and then start the conversation. So that was far more effective. But trade shows are about lead generation.
I found red wine worked fairly well too.
Red wine works exceptionally well as well too.
I did trade shows a little bit differently many years ago, in that I teamed up with the organisers of a chain of trade shows, and I got a stand, but I was also the official video producer, videographer of the event. And so that let me interview on film, on video, every other stand in the place.
Yep, that's another whole level again. So that's a strategic alliance in there.
That worked really well. And I built a
well.
database at the same time.
Indeed, yeah. All right, some of the myths. Here are some of the myths, and we spoke about something to start with. You don't want to email your list too much. So people are often worried about how much is too much. So that comes to your question, Peter, about how many times should you email it. The problem with that is that what people tend to do is not email. So they're scared about emailing because they might get these unsubscribes and might get some unhappy people that don't want to receive the emails, so they don't email. So I wouldn't be too concerned about whether you're emailing them too much, because in actual fact, you're probably emailing them too little. And you can sort of ramp it up. You can probably double what you're doing and still not tread on any toes. As I say, there is one person I get an email from every single day. There are other people that I get emails, not every day, but probably every other day or every sort of 2 or 3 days. And they might send me 3 emails in a day. I think probably for today, you probably all got 3 emails from me today. You probably got one in the morning to say the event's coming up. We probably got one at midway through the day and the other one just before the start, just to let you know that it's happening. So again, those are the key to these emails, is that they're relevant. If you're sending emails that are not relevant and that are just pitching people or trying to sell people, you are going to get those unsubscribes, because you're going to be that annoying person that keeps that wants something. So there are 2 types of people in the world: those that give and those that take. So if your emails are wanting to take something from people, that's where you're going to get the unsubscribes. But if you're giving people stuff that they want and that's of value, then you can email them as much as you like, because you're adding value to them. So to give you an example, that person that emails me every day, he doesn't sell me anything. So there's no sale, there's no pitch or anything in that. So that's one of the secrets in your emails, is don't sell in your email. So sell off the emails. So when they contact you or they come onto your website or they book with you or whatever, that's the time for the sales conversation. It's not in an email. And too many people think that email is about selling. You will find that your unsubscribe rates will start to go through the roof when you start to do that sort of thing. So there's nothing else you take away from today. Remove anything of sales from your emails. So you may think, well, how do I sell if I'm not pitching an email? Well, the guy that emailed me every day, he works for a hosting company, a web hosting company. He is their chief product officer. What he emails is helpful hints and tips on apps and tools to use for websites. And so he does a profile on them. He often explores and he works out how to use these things. So their instruction, they're interesting. I won't use all of the tools, but I'm interested to see if there are things that he emails me about that I might be interested in. So every day is something that I will open the email, I'll flick through it, I might read through the whole thing, but it's of value and an interest for me because I am a developer, I'm a web person, I'm a digital marketer, and I'm interested in these sort of things. And I'm always on the lookout for that. So think about your clients and your customers. What are they inherently interested in that I would be interested to hear from you every day? So what could you deliver them that is of value or that is going to help them in their current situation? Now, one of the tips for that is it doesn't need to be directly related to your product or service, but it needs to be something that's related to their life. So if we use, for instance, someone that is in, let's say the real estate example again. People aren't going to buy a property for 5 years, but what are they interested in if they didn't? Well, one thing I know they're interested in is Sam.
Generally with my emails, I give them updates on how to brand yourself with the power of photography and how to use your photos correctly. You should be facing this way, not that way, and all that sort of stuff. So my emails are more educational.
Perfect. So are your clients predominantly people in business?
Yes, all of them are.
Okay, and are they people that are wanting to either grow their business or get more leads or make more money?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. So do your emails help them do that?
Yes, I think that they do.
They do. Yeah, because you're talking about one aspect, which is how they present themselves in their photography, and putting their best light. People don't know this sort of stuff. So you're helping them to do that. So that's a really good example. Like you can't get tired of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no. So mine is educational. I might have a few buttons that say book here or call me now or whatever, but they're never anything that's huge in sales. It's more educational or showcasing somebody's story.
Perfect. So you're not selling anything. You're giving them information, educating them, teaching them. But you do have if you're interested to find out more or whatever, or book now, you've got that on the bottom of your email.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a call to action. That's not a sales pitch, which is great. So you're giving the information and people can't tire of that sort of stuff. And I know they can't because I get your emails and I do open yours and I do read yours.
And what's your honest opinion? I mean, I'm happy for constructive criticism.
They're great because they do exactly what you're talking about. And like when you talk about media, that is one of my primary vehicles on video and on photography or images. And it's not that I'm necessarily going to go to you to get all my photos done. What I really want to know is how can I present myself in the best possible way that's going to be compelling and not make me look like a dweeb when other people are photographing me and when I'm photographing myself.
Yes.
And
I just want to show that picture of that I'm the go-to person. Even if you have a question, I'm not going to do a big sales pitch. It's just about helping you and educating you.
Yep, that's perfect because when I want to go and get professional photos done for something, who am I going to think of?
Well, me, of course.
It is.
You know a lot of photographers. I know you know a lot of photographers, but yeah, I do get the point.
Well, I have to say, Sam, there are only 2 photographers that I ever consider going to. One of them is Brad Delaney, who's the headshot guy. Yep. Because I've had my headshot done with him for years, and he's a mate of mine. He's been on the show as well. The other one is you, because but for the reason is because you send those emails through that are non-salesy and their information. That's why I read them. So you've positioned yourself as the expert.
Okay, all right, that's great feedback. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. So I think it's a really good case in point. If you think about how do you position yourself as the knowledgeable person in your industry by giving people helpful and educational information. If you're doing that, you can't email people too much.
Yeah, okay, great.
So,
on that
and I,
point,
and I, so
sorry.
Paul, I'll come back to you there. I was just thinking because Tracy's on screen at the moment, Tracy Tomlinson. So she talked about the early part there about these invisible blocks that we don't see, in ourselves that stop us doing things in life. Now, I know that she runs programs to help people through those, but just talking about that sort of stuff in emails and helping to, identify some of those things there and giving some strategies on how to deal with that. Those are really good educational pieces on email, and you can't get too much of that because I can guarantee there is not one person on this show today, or whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, that doesn't suffer from some form of lack of confidence in some area, in some way, shape or form. Mind you, there are the odd person that's like that. There are sort of terms for them, but most people suffer from that. So if you're able to give me some things that are going to help me overcome some of those obstacles that I've got, then and I get those every day, every week, at the time that I've got a serious issue that I need to deal with, or I get a call up from a major TV network because they want to feature me on the show, I'm going to be saying, so that's when all the confidence issues come up. Who can help me with that? I'm going to go to Tracy because I know what she's told me in the past through her emails. I have confidence that she can help me in this here. Does that make sense? So think about what it is that you do, and it's not what you do, but the solutions that you offer that you can help people with and give them that information, the education. So Paul, you were going to say.
Yeah, just sort of from Sam's thing there. There's one email that I get from a camera store where I've bought SLRs and video cameras over the years and lenses and things from time to time. And I'm a Canon guy. I shoot people with a Canon, so I will never unsubscribe from them because in every email there will be what this week's specials are. And if they're doing Sony or Nikon, I don't care, and I'll sort of maybe delete it. But when there's Canon, I'll always go in and I'll look at every item on there. Now, that seems a bit salesy, but they will also have their tips and tricks like you do, and they will have competitions, and ask a question and give like a multiple choice, and then next week they'll answer it and say, did you guess what the answer was about a photographic technique or something like that. But yeah, there's some good tutorials on there like you're giving away, and that makes good content, good reading. Whether or not I want to buy a new Sony lens to put on my Canon, no, I don't. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So they know their audience, they know what they're interested in, they give them what they want. For me, I give out some of the tools and tips that I've got, great email content for that as well. I could probably do more of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so don't worry about emailing your list too much. It's about, are you emailing? Is it relevant and does it help them? Subscribes. The best thing to do is turn off the notification you get by email of unsubscribes to you. That is just a depressing statistic. So, and it's unnecessary to subject yourself to that there. What you need to focus on is making sure you've got enough people coming in the front end. Go into your CRM in the back end and check the unsubscribes. And all you're checking for the unsubscribes is, have they increased, have they decreased, and just looking at the emails that you've sent out to see which one got them, really triggered the unsubscribes. And that will help you to sort of understand really the relevance of your emails. No one opens emails. Well, that's not true. You'll get that open rate. It's just that it just doesn't look like a lot of people open your emails. Just remember that some people will read your emails without even opening it. So some of them got a preview pane that doesn't trigger the fact that they've opened it. And so they'll sort of read it in the preview pane. Other myths are social media is more effective. Well, we've spoken about that. They only deliver to about 3%, so it's not, but you can use it with your emails. People don't sign up to your list. So one of the things is that was popular on websites was having sign up to my newsletter. Get rid of that. No one signs up for a newsletter, or not very many people sign up unless they're really, really interested in what you do. rather than sign up to your newsletter, give them again something of value. So something you would give them an email. So the great thing about emails is that if you are generating good value content in your emails, you can turn that into an ebook and then give people that as an ebook. So if you know that people open your emails, and then you know that people are going to be interested to download this as well too. So you can repurpose some of that content. And another myth, AI can write it all. Yes, it can. One of the caveats about that there is that you want to make sure that your emails don't sound like AI. If they all sound the same all the time, I use ChatGPT sometimes to generate the summaries for our emails for each of our sessions each week. Anyone that's read it will see that some of them sound the same. They've got the same formula, whatever. I've gone back to writing the emails myself. I use ChatGPT to give me the ideas and the outline for it, and then I can write to that. And pretty much I can bang out an email as quick as it takes me to get, say, ChatGPT to do it after I craft all the prompts and sort of tweak and craft and change it. So AI is good in certain areas. It's not good in sort of other areas at the moment. So, and for these personal type of emails, probably better you write it yourself, or at least get AI to do some of the structure of it, and then you finish it all off. Some of the problems with emails, talked about spam filters and deliverability. A couple of things you can do for getting that deliverability. There are things called, and this is the technical area, your DNS records, domain name server records. Where your domain name is hosted, then records on it, which are things like it'll point the domain to your website. They have records there for what they call MX records, which is your mail records. So if you're using Outlook or Google, then there are specific records you have to add to your DNS in order for mail to be delivered to those platforms. And they're used in various other ways as well too. But there are two records that are absolutely essential that you have in your DNS. If you don't have these, then either your emails won't be delivered, and we've seen cases of that now, or they'll end up in spam or flagged as spam. The first one is a DKIM record, and that's a text record, but it's called DKIM. And the other one is another text record, which is called an SPF record. So you need both of those. Your email providers will give you those records, and you need to add those to your domain name settings, or your domain name service, or DNS. If you're not sure what they are, your web developer, if you've got a web developer, they should know what that is, or an IT person, they will know what that is. It's a very quick job to add it in, and your deliverability will go up significantly using that. So definitely go and check those as well too. If you need help with that, more than happy to help you with that. But that is a really critical part. And even your CRMs, they will give you records to add to your CRM. Make sure that at least one of those records they give you is an SPF record. They should have both a DKIM and SPF record. If they don't provide you with those, ask them for it. You need to add them, and that's going to help you with deliverability. So that's probably the biggest thing that is going to help with that. The other thing too is words flagged as spam. So there are certain words in your emails that are triggers for the email providers to say this is spam. So they're words like money, free, those sort of things. I don't know what all the words are, but you'll often find in your CRMs, they will have some form of AI test there to see whether it's spam. If they don't, just grab your email, paste it into something like ChatGPT, ask it to rate it in terms of it being spam or not spam, and it will give you a result there. And then you can easily change it. You can ask it what words to change to help with it as well, or rewrite it to make it less spammy. It can help you with that too. So that's an area you can use AI to help you with that as well too. But generally, if you're writing the way you speak, it's going to be a lot easier, and you're going to avoid a lot of that sort of stuff. All right, some of the strategies that we can use. Email generally is good if you use it with other forms of media. So, for instance, we're probably familiar with this one here. You can run ads. So the mistake with ads: don't run ads to sell things. Run ads to build your list. So don't look at ads as being a wham bam short-term thing to try and get to the sale. Think of it as building your list. So you run an ad to an opt-in, get people to opt in for lead magnet free course, survey, personalities, whatever it is. Get those people to give you their email address, add it to your email list. Then you can start an email conversation. And let not that first email be a sales email. Let it be an email that adds more value to them and helps them with whatever it is that they've downloaded. So that's a strategy. Ads to opt in to list to email. Again, social media, you can do the same thing with your organic social media as well too. You know, run your posts to you can run it to a blog post. On that blog post with more information, it has got an opt-in for more like this into your email, and then start the conversation. Facebook groups are fabulous as well too. Business Owners Smashing Online is a Facebook group. Whenever anyone applies to join that group, we always ask them for their email address. That email address gets added to our CRM. We send them a welcome email. So we don't start pitching them and telling that we've got this event on, for instance. We send them a welcome email and let them know what to expect. So we're going to let them know to expect an invitation to this free event and to a number of other things as well. So any of you that have recently joined, you will have seen those emails. The Facebook lead ads. So Facebook lead ads are the ones that pop up from the bottom of your screen on mobile. Again, those ones can be added directly to your CRM. So both Facebook group and your lead ads can be directly connected to your CRM, so it's automatic. And again, you can send out an email from that when they opt into your list there. Obviously, websites, we're familiar with this one. Website having an opt-in form on it, which goes to your list, and you can email them up. Now, here's another strategy too. When you send someone an email, if you want to increase your open rates, the people you sent an email to, follow them up with a direct message in, say, LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, whichever medium they're on, to let them know you've sent them an email. You just want to check they've got it. That there will open up your email rates. Now, if you've got 10,000 emails, it's probably going to be a bit difficult. But if you've only got a few hundred emails, you don't need to do them all, but you can have a look at those that don't often open your emails and just send them a direct message. And you might do sort of 10 or 20 at a time. So you don't have to do them all. But what will happen is if you start to cycle through that, you'll increase your open rates, and people will get to know you as well too. And the other clever way too is people that open your emails, remarket to them on social media. So what you can do is, if they've opened your email and if they've clicked on a link on your email, you can remarket to them so that only those that have opened the email get to see an ad that is relevant to that same email. So now they're getting your message in two different forums, and that starts to build trust and credibility as well too. Again, it could just be content, so it's a good way to use content, or you might use it to soft sell as well too. There was one other there. I had another one there. I can't remember it now. I'll come back to that one. All right, I'm going to talk about the parts to the email. So understand the parts and how they work and how important they are. So this is directly out of my CRM, and we'll run through each of the parts here. Top left-hand side is actually what you don't see here at the moment is the sender. So the sender name. Now, we did speak about the sender's name to start with. You know, whether you use a company name, personal name, or some other name. But people are more often than not going to open an email from a person's name. So again, just remember that some people, and I do this as well, if I don't know the person, I will hover over the email address. If it's a Gmail account or a Hotmail account, I'm more likely to discard it. If it is a domain email account like Social Selling Warriors that Con had, I'm more likely to open that because that's going to be more legitimate, so it lends more credibility to it. And the other thing that lends credibility to it too is an email address that is not info, admin, sales at, or any of those there, but an email address that is like Sam at, or Peter at, or Casey at. Those are more likely to get open because there's a person attached to it, not a role. So it's better to have a personal email.
They get targeted for spam filters too, more often.
The info,
yeah.
those ones. Yep. So they are a trigger for spam filters. So you're less likely to end up in spam filters if you're using your personal name.
Yeah.
So your subject line's all important. I'll often use people's first name in the subject line, so that'll get their attention as well. and use the subject and think about what would they open. So here's one here. This is my one-line email that Con had mentioned right at the very beginning there. I use this one sparingly. It's one that you might use 2 or 3 times a year, but I'll generally put their first name in it. And this one was, hey John, you okay? And then you've got over on the right-hand side, this is the pre-header. So the pre-header is what appears in people's emails before they open it. Now, to give you, so you can see on the left-hand side, it says, did I do something wrong and did I offend? And it's got an emoji in it. Now, using emojis in pre-headers makes it stand out in email. So if I show you this here, there's a screenshot of a email screen here, and we've got 2 emails there. There are 2 emojis. So lots of them haven't got emojis. Our eyes are drawn to an emoji. So again, you can use those sparingly as well, but if you use it in that pre-header, often you can't use it in the sender's name. Sometimes you can, but some of the email senders won't let you do it. If you use it in the pre-header, that's this part on the left-hand side, or sometimes it appears under the from name, then it's a good way of capturing attention. So it does capture attention. It won't guarantee the open rate of it, but your pre-header will. So make sure your pre-header is your second subject line to get people to open it. So don't miss that out. And then your citation. My emails, I generally keep them casual, like a conversation, like I'm emailing a friend. Even if I don't know them, I'm going to email them like a friend. Now there are a couple of formats, so I'll come to the formats. But first thing is, often I'll use hey or hi, something that's informal, and use their first name. Absolutely critical doing that there. Second thing is, you've got your body of the email. Again, keep that conversational. Now, what happens is when people start to write emails, they think, well, what should I write? And then they turn into this weird language, and they look at other people's emails and think they need to emulate an email from Kogan or from one of these large retailers, or they have a look at internet marketing gurus and some of the emails that come out. They try and do that. Forget that. Just write like you're having a conversation. It's best if you pretend that you're having a conversation with someone that you know that's in front of you right now. So often when I'm writing emails, I will have someone I'm addressing it to. So undoubtedly, there'll be people that are here today that I've written an email to you, and I've had you sort of in front of me, but I've written it to everyone, but I'm just targeting it to that one person. So for instance, it might be Billy, for instance. I've spoken to Billy at a conference we went to recently. There might be something that I'm writing about our next event. So I'm just going to write to Billy, and as if I'm talking to him. Now, if you have if you find that your writing starts to get into this formal sort of school writing, the way you're taught at school, then stop writing, start recording. So what you can do is pick up an AI tool like, let's say, a recording tool like Otter, or like Grain.ai, or even Fathom. So Fathom is a tool that which works with Zoom. It's free, and then just talk. So just have a conversation, record it, and then grab the transcription and edit this transcription. That's going to be a lot more conversational than you trying to type out your email. Does that make sense? And what you'll find is that will increase your open rates and click-through rates as well too. So do it, and so I'll often do it that way. All of my emails I write are like that. And then you've got your sign-off. Again, your sign-off, you can play with this a bit as well too. Often I'll sign off with just my first name because that's more personable. You can try your first name and last name. You can have an email signature on there. Sometimes it's appropriate to have an email signature with your email address and phone number and all that sort of thing. So that would be appropriate for a welcome email and that sort of thing. But for people who've been on your list for a while, you're actually okay just to sign it off with Nick. That's or with your name, your first name. That's a lot more personal than your full name and your full details. They already know what your website is. They already know what your email address is because you sent it to them from your email address. So just keep it casual. One of the most important parts of your email is the PS. Often what people will do is they'll read the hey in their first name, the subject line, the first name, they'll skip to the bottom. And so put your most important information in the PS, like your call to action. So, so that's a good way to get that click-through rate. And you can have 2 PSs as well too. So don't be afraid to have a couple there. So you'll notice the email is conversational. There is no sales pitch. It is personal. And if there's any call to action, well, generally there's a call to action, but it's a soft call to action. So this soft call to action is just a link in the PS. I haven't even got the link in the body of this particular one because I want them to reply. And in fact, this text here, how are things? Haven't heard from you for a while. Hope everything is good. That is a call to action because it's a question. It's inviting them to hit reply. And I'll often get replies on my emails that go out to my database. The other thing too is you'll notice this email is written like an email. It's got no images in it. It's got no fancy bits in it. It's got no branding. It's got no logos in it, anything like that there. It's written as if I've just typed an email out to someone in my email program. That is quite deliberate. So we're not looking for professional corporate emails. That might be suitable for, your large corporate companies. But if you want to get them opened, don't bother about using, sort of logos, brandings, and images in it. They already know who you are anyway. And if they don't know who you are, then they'll go and search for you and find out who you are. Does that make sense? Yep. So I'm giving you the emails in the world of Nik. This is how I do them. This is what works. This is what gets me the 30 to 40% open rate.
Hey, Nik, I put a question in the box. I noticed you don't put anything like regards, kind regards, cheers, see you later. Or you guys just go Nik?
It depends. Like I play with those. Okay. Often I'll use warm regards. Sometimes I'll say, see you there. Look forward to catching you there. Something like that there. So again, I use something pretty informal usually.
All right. But is it important to use something like that or just name? What's your feeling on that? Is that fluffy? I've had someone say, is that fluffy?
Yeah, look, it depends how well you know your database or how well they know you. If they know you well because you've emailed them a lot, like my database in my CRM, they tend to know me well because I email them every week. So I can just sign something off Nik, they know who it is. That's casual, it's friendly, it's fine. For people that don't know you so that well, you might sign off with a regards or that sort of thing there. But again, you can test that sort of thing as well.
Can I say something on that one?
Yeah.
I use, well, because I'm a photographer, I kind of like to keep the smiling thing, and I don't always, but I have on the bottom of my emails, until we connect again, keep smiling.
Perfect. Yep, that's great. That's a bit like a tagline. Does it use that all the time?
Only sometimes I use it. Depends who the person is, but generally it is the same. Until we connect again, keep smiling. And if I'm doing it, I only use that once.
Perfect. Yeah.
And that is generally for the first connection. So until they connect with me, then after that, I don't use it on that same person again.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, that's a great way to use it because you've got a semi-formal, respectful, but playful, sign off. And then after that, when you know people, you just use your first name. Yeah, we just use our first names.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're in conversation with each other, we don't use everybody's last name. We just use first names. So that is a sense of informality and friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right. All right, writing emails. So this is just a summary of what I've talked about. Conversational, personal, write to one person. Use incorrect grammar. Don't worry if you're not grammatically correct. We don't speak grammatically correct. It's okay to use that. Often I'll use 3 little dots to finish things off, start sentences with an and, that sort of thing there. So again, that's conversational. Use emojis. Like, again, emojis are things that people are familiar with. It also interweaves with social media, and it's fine in emails as well too. Oh, there you go. Sign off first name only. So with that sort of, I would add what Sam has just talked about there. For the first one, you might have your sign off and then first name only. Use an ordinary email, not your HTML emails. 1 sentence paragraphs. Don't write long paragraphs. People tend to skim these days. So if you've got 3 sentences, turn them into 3 paragraphs. Again, it might not be grammatically correct, but you'll get people reading it because they'll skim it. Transcribe as you speak, spoke about that, and no logos and branding. And big thing, don't sell. Remember, you're adding value, you're giving them stuff. They will come and seek you out when they want to buy stuff. You don't have to sell and pitch to them to sell stuff. That'll only put them off. All right. How do you increase your clicks? Someone asked a question about whether you should use images and things in your email. Generally, I don't, unless it's going to help with sort of adding the values. So if it's an instructional thing, so, you know, here's an image here. I might use this in an email if I'm, you know, providing some instructions on how to do something. So that sort of thing's fine. A meme is probably okay. I think, again, Sam, with photography, you might use some images in there just to showcase some of what you've been doing, or some case studies or whatever. The other good thing that you can do if you want to get those click-throughs is put a video in. Now, you can't put videos in emails, but what you can do is you can grab a snippet of a video and turn it into a GIF image. You can paste that into your email, and it will look like it's playing. So when people open it, they see the movement in behind the video. You link that GIF image to a video either on YouTube, Vimeo, or your website. They'll click on that, then they'll go and watch the video. So that's a good way to get people to click through. And if you're not quite sure how to make those GIF videos, reach out and I can show you how. I did have a tutorial on that, I think it's about a couple of sessions back as well too. But again, URLs, you can sort of link a word, an image, a video, or just the straight URL. You can put those in as links. Other ways too is if you put a text, if you ask for people to respond and you have an image of a text box in there, which looks like they can write in it, but you link that to a form on your website or a form on Jotforms or whatever, you can get them to click on that, and as if they're filling it out, then it will take them to the form to complete the form. You can also use that for things like asking for reviews. If you're asking for a review, you can put 5 stars in it as an image on your email and ask them to rate you by clicking on the star. When they click on the star, that link takes them through to Google reviews or Facebook reviews or LinkedIn reviews. So you can do that sort of thing as well too. That'll get some of those click-through rates. The other big thing too is send your email again to people that don't open it. So some email systems will allow you to do that. So I use Drip. Drip allows you, if people haven't opened your email after 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, you can instruct it to send that email again to people that haven't opened it. That there in itself will almost double your open rate.
Will that just go as exactly the same email, or would it add something that says, hey, you didn't see this yesterday?
No, it's exactly the same email.
Right.
Because it makes no difference to them whether they saw it or not, sort of thing. We're just resending it to someone that didn't open it. So I know when I've done that, it almost doubles our open rates. And you can probably do it again to those that haven't opened it again. But yeah, that becomes the you get a diminishing return after that. But there's one tip: do that, and that will increase your open rates. To increase your open rates, we talked about the from line, subject line, and pre-headline. Those are the 3 most important areas in your email to get people to open it. So make it compelling, make it personal, make it feel like you have written just to them. Use your emojis in the pre-headline. That'll get your open rates.
I'm trying to find where that pre-header is.
And I'm
in Outlook.
Oh, in Outlook. Okay, so that's only really available in CRM. So like Outlook and Gmail, they don't have it. So that's only in your CRMs. And not all CRMs have it. Should have it, but most of them will have that. It's like your secondary subject line, but it's the one that gives you a bit more space.
Yeah.
All right. So I've talked about that. All right. The last thing I'll give you tonight is the different types of emails. Now, obviously, I haven't got time to go through all these different types of emails. And there's plenty of information out there about some of these. So some of the emails you can use, like that welcome email, that's the one there. Like if someone's just signed up to your list, your welcome email is going to deliver what it is you've promised to them. And or it could be if they've signed up in your Facebook group, you're sending a welcome email. That's the one you put your sign off there, you know, warm regards, see you again, that sort of thing there. That should not be the LAD magnet sequence. That would be the lead magnet sequence. I've misspelled that. So we know about that one there. You know, someone downloads your lead magnet and then you send them seven emails over 7 days. That's a fairly common one.
Spell check you're writing too.
Yes, I was doing this a wee bit fast today, I think. Preemptive emails. Answer people's questions before they ask them. That's a really powerful email. So, you know, those objections that you get or reasons why people don't buy from you or the questions that people always ask, that because they ask them over and over and over again, you know that anyone else that's going to come to you are probably going to ask the same questions. So before they ask it, answer it in an email. So that there gives you brownie points and increases your credibility. You've got all onboarding emails for new clients, newsletters. They're sort of, probably not quite so important, but I'll come back to that newsletter. One-line email, that was the one that spoke about, you know, how are you? But it doesn't even have to be that. I've seen other one-line emails that if someone's expressed an interest in your product and service, you can send them out a one-line email and says, are you still interested in getting a funeral done? Probably you can't use that one, Paul, but most of us can with our products and services.
Dead yet. I'm nearly.
Yes. Are you still interested in that wetsuit you were looking at for the Surf Guru? So, you know, those sorts of ones there as well too. If you're launching programs, you can use it for you know, a series of emails for launching. Case studies are really good to use. So if you've worked with a client now, an ideal case study in terms of their transformation, what's happened, and they exemplify exactly what you do, use that as an email, because there's going to be other people out there with exactly the same problem that you can help them with, and you've got a case study showing exactly how this person has benefited. Testimonials, saying, you know, use those again. You know, tell people what people say about you. Use it for teaching. That's what Sam was talking about. You know, teach and educate. Personal stories. So using personal stories. You know, if you've had an experience, like so many times I use personal stories out there about something that's happened to me. That's good too, because people want to get into your life. Having serial stories. So ones where you have an email that doesn't finish the story, that is going to continue tomorrow or next week. So that keeps them engaged. Using memes and images, video walkthroughs are good. Behind the scenes. Tell people what happens behind the scenes. Give them a sort of behind the scenes views. You know, sometimes people, you know, I've posted, well, these are on social media. I haven't done too much on email, but you can do it on email. Behind the scenes in my setup here. What do I use to sort of set up? How do I prepare? That sort of thing. What am I wearing for pants on the show here? You know, I've got a bright shirt. Am I wearing something equally bright? You know, so you can make up all sorts of stuff for that there. Be controversial. Don't shy away from being controversial. You can use things like polls, quizzes, surveys, competitions. Ask a question. They're really good as well. And help me emails. So help me. Look, I'm thinking of running a program on sort of confidence for female business owners. Is that something that or if I did run that, what would you want me to include in it? So there's a question there. So you're asking for their input. People are happy to give their opinions and their input. So we look at that. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 different types of emails there. How many weeks in a year are there? 52, isn't it? 52. Had to think about that. So there's 22 emails. There's half a year's worth of emails if you send out an email once a week. So, and then repeat that again, there's 12 months worth of emails. So I'm pretty sure, you know, pretty much everyone could sort of do something that would fit each of those there. Has that helped with sort of some of the how to use email and some, you know, questions about that?
One thing you haven't touched on, and I don't know whether you still will, but looking at the time, you probably won't. And I thought of it when you were talking about those DNS records that you have to put in, which are necessary if you're sending a heap of emails from your own email pop account. But isn't that the reason why we use things like MailChimp or those type of things to bulk send lots of emails? And does the CRM achieve the same thing if the CRM is emailing for you? Because they get away with as being trusted senders, so they don't get hit with all the spam blockages and stuff.
Yeah. So if you're sending out bulk emails from a Gmail account, Google account, Outlook account, you are more than likely going to get blocked as a spammer. So and you'll get blocked from the provider's end rather than the other end. So so don't do that. If you're bulk emailing, you need to really do it from a CRM. The reason why CRMs are able to get that deliverability is they spend a lot of money on maintaining reputation. You can connect your domain to it as well too, but that's where it's really important to have those DNS settings in there as well to verify that you sent the message, it's not spam as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Roger. Excellent. All right. Well, that's all I've got for you tonight. Unless you've got any questions, have I not covered anything, or are there any questions that you've got?
Can you put those two things that you talked about, the DNS, into the chat for us, please?
All right. So it's a DK.
I was looking at my DNS records just after you did that.
Okay.
And I thought I've got something there, but
all right, there they are. DKIM record and SPF record. The technical term is that they are, in fact, both text records.
Yes, I found an SPF in mine.
Yep. Yep. So that's what you need to look for. So so if you do want to save the chat, it's probably good. Then you can go and check that.
Good, thanks.
All right, Tracy, how do you rate your CRMs? Top three. My top three are. Oh, that's a hard one, really. The number one CRM is the one that you're using right now. The number two one is, if you're not using one, the one that you choose to use. The number three one is Drip. I've tried lots and lots of CRMs, and by far, when it comes to price and when it comes to functionality, Drip really outstrips them all. So that's drip.com. MailChimp used to be a good one, which was free. I would never recommend MailChimp anymore because the price of that is just gone through the roof, and the functionality is not anywhere near what a lot of the other
functionality went backwards.
Yeah. Good question. HubSpot free. Yeah, HubSpot is good. And in fact, they're really good. They've got lots of good tools. Only problem with HubSpot is when you get locked into the free one, you always want more. By the time you start spending what you need in order to get the functionality out of it, you're spending a lot of money. Agile is pretty good as well. Again, Agile is a wee bit clunky in terms of its interface. You can achieve the same things as Drip. It hasn't quite got the same what would you call it, some tags and functionality you can do with it, and it does get a bit pricey too. So it starts off cheap, but again, when you start to need to use the additional functionality or the number of workflows, for instance, that you need to use, they charge per blocks of workflows, then you'll find the price will get up there. So I've used Agile as well, and I've used that for clients as well too. All right, any other questions there?
Yeah, I've got a quick one if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you address previews triggering opens? I've got one list in particular, it's got an open rate of about 60%, but I can tell, because my own email's on it, it'll trigger an open as soon as I hit send, even though I haven't opened it. So I find it hard to trust the metrics.
That's an interesting one.
And 60% seems unusually high as it is, and I can demonstrate that those previews are triggering it. So yeah.
Okay. So they haven't opened the email; they've just previewed it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's well, and it depends. Some previews won't trigger it, some will. But yes, that is a very skewed metric. So if you're getting 60%, I don't know how much you would discount that by, just for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Judging by the kind of list that it is, 40% is probably expected, but yeah, and just judging by the number of people who don't take action on some of the things that are sent in it and stuff, it just makes me wonder what the metric would actually be and how I could combat that.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that one. There's probably some ways of doing it. I just don't know at the moment. I haven't struggled. Like if it's 60%, I would expect that's a transactional email open rate. But anything over 40, I'd start to question. If I think of a way that I can handle that, I'll let you know. But good point. All right. Any other question? Active campaign. Yeah, active campaign's another good. Convert kit. Yeah, that's another good one as well too. Both of those are fine. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I've got for us tonight. I'm more than happy if you've got any questions, queries, or anything about emails, CRMs, that sort of thing. There, I'm happy for you to fire those through to me, and I'm happy to sort of help you where I can. I do have a door prize for tonight for those that are here tonight. And that is, if you have an email campaign that you want me to have a look over, more than happy to look over that and give you some recommendation, critique, and feedback on it. If you don't want an email, if you don't have an email campaign, you wonder where to start, I'll help you with the structure of that there. Happy to do that. If you don't have a CRM, happy to have a conversation with you about how to choose the right CRM. So any of those things there is our door prize for tonight. So let's bring up that wheel of names there. JM, and all of our names are in here. Let's spin the wheel. Of course, you've got to be in here to win. If you're not here, then we will spin it again. All right, the wheel is spinning, and our lucky winner there is Gordon Green. Excellent. You still here, Gordon?
Yeah, I'm still here, Nick.
Fantastic. Excellent. All right, well, we can have a conversation about your email strategy, CRM, that sort of thing there, if that's going to be helpful for you.
How long do you want the list to be, Nick?
Just send it through to Jenny and I'll get her to cull it down for me.
All right, mate. Thanks.
All right, well, look, that's our session for tonight. Next week, our speaker is going to be talking about video and how to create videos quickly, how to repurpose them quickly. He's got a system there to get it done in, I think, less than 60, I was going to say seconds. That sounds a bit unrealistic. I think it's 60 minutes. And he's someone they've had quite a while ago. So he'll be on the show next week to talk to us about that. Anyway, that's our section for tonight. Sorry for going over time there. I've gone a little bit longer. Appreciate you sticking around for that there, and we'll see you next week.